So, coming back to the topic of AI, how are you seeing the leadership react to it? Like when you talk to senior executives and projects that are getting funded and everything else in that ecosystem, what are you seeing there? And I also want to come back to the question of how can people who want to incorporate AI into their career, are there things they can do? Are there things that you're doing as part of your training which helps them be more equipped about it?
So, as I mentioned, I think the feelings have been quite mixed with no apart use cases have been that those that they've seen that's been very useful for Service Cloud. Sorry, what's the new name? Agent for Service.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it
And the
agent?
use case is
Okay, but Service Cloud.
the use case is very strong to do support to fix issues. They because you've got tech notes, you've got historical ways of how you approach a problem. So it's very nicely and clear. But there are a lot more, for example, like hackathon. It is to find use cases for AI. And it's trying to find a problem that this solves in an enterprise way, which I feel is opposite to what we're supposed to come to market with, right? You come to market with a solution to a problem that already exists. And now it feels like the opposite. And I see a lot of leaders feeling that way. Well, everyone's using AI, but what can I use AI for? Can't figure it out. To coach my sales team? Okay, my sales cycle is very different. The way that we do things does not lend itself to being coached for by AI. Yes, we can use it for Zoom and transcription and meeting notes, but what else can we use? That's not really an agent force thing. So there is some confusion as to there's a lot of wait and see. Plus, many of them still struggling with tech debt and all the things that we talked about. So I feel there is still an uphill battle. Those that will embrace it will, as I mentioned, will have strong leadership who will dedicate the investment to getting it right, fixing the foundational issue, really getting a team together and making sure that it's done properly. But there are many companies that don't fall in this category who are in the scrambling FOMO situation. So that's challenging. And I'm hoping that when I read Vernon and Chris's document that I have something that's a, hey, read this, right? And let's have a think about how you want to approach it as your organization. Now, with regards to the young talent, and again, this also came from an article that he wrote so nicely about the can't remember is it erosion of the middle. I think or hollowing out of the job market. I can't remember the phrase, but basically, the fact is the job vacancies for juniors are disappearing. The last couple of years, Stanford has released a research that has backed that up. And that is because, and also I heard another interview where Shopify, AWS, Google, Microsoft, they are not releasing headcounts unless the team can justify why the job role for that headcount cannot be done by AI. And what that means is for all the young generation who's coming out into the workforce, who first to do drudgery, manual stuff, to learn, to get better, to gain experience. That's being robbed. Like a very classic one in IT is that one of the first things that you ought to do would be testing, QA, or data cleansing. They're really crappy stuff, but then you learn VLOOKUPs, you learn to use different apps to clean data and stuff like that, to do a bit of scripting. Now all that's taken away. So how are they going to learn all the important things? And so in one of my articles, I talk about the talent pipeline. It's not moving ahead. Jobs will be there for those of us on the other side of the experience now, but not on that other side. So where I'm coming from, I don't know what the future looks like, but I think the some of the skills that will always be transferable are the human skills, the listening, the asking right questions, asking Socratic questions, critical solving problems, design thinking, all of that will not go away. And actually, we have to focus more, but I don't hear anyone talking about it. Everyone, especially coming out of the forces, get yourself trained on agent force and etc. No one's talking about how do you make sure you get your prompt right. Actually, it's about talking to the AI and having that conversation and saying, how are you approaching it and treating it like a graduate. And then if you are young and new, it's knowing how to ask questions so that you can learn. I don't think anyone's focusing on that, which is a
I
shame.
Yeah, I think it's such a good point. As the answers become abundant, as it becomes so much easier to have a conversation with AI or have it review things and give you answers, as the sheer cost of asking those questions is practically zero today, what becomes so much more valuable are the type of questions you ask, right? And I think to your point, which is so profound, is there's a whole generation of people who are unfortunately not getting the kind of experience to really get a flavor of the quality of questions to ask, the nuances in a question, right? And so much of good consulting, so much of successful project management, so much of good business is about the quality of questions we are asking.